What an amazing, warm welcome. And let's just give another hand for the amazing Sarah. She is such a warrior, and we all love her very, very much. And Florida loves her, right? Incredible. I'd like to also thank former Attorney General from here in Florida, Pam Bondi. Where's Pam? Hi, Pam. And Representatives Vern Buchanan. Where's Vern? Hi, Vern. And Greg Stubbe. Great job, you two. Thank you. Exactly 1 week from today, we're going to win Florida. We're going to win Florida. And we're going to win 4 more years for the people's president in the White House. I don't have to tell this crowd, but early voting is happening now, so vote today. And then spend the rest of your time getting your friends, your family, everyone you know to vote. Before my father ran for office, politics was not my life. Like many of you, I was a busy working mom, 3 young, rowdy children. When I came to Washington, I very quickly learned why the political establishment tried so hard to keep my father out of office. In the swamp, it's very easy for politicians to survive if they silence their convictions and skip the hard fights. I was actually shocked to see how many people left major challenges unsolved so they could blame the other side and campaign on the same issue in the next election. You all know what I'm talking about. It happens all the time. But Donald Trump did not come to Washington to win the praise of the Beltway elites. Donald Trump came to Washington for one reason and one reason alone: to make America great again. For the first time in a long time, we have a president who's called out Washington's hypocrisy, and they hate him for it. My father has strong convictions. You may have noticed this. He knows what he believes, and he says what he thinks. Whether you agree with him or not, you always know where he stands. Occasionally, I hear people comment on his communication style and say that it's not to everyone's tastes. I think this group likes the tweets, though, right? Well, let me just say that the results, they speak for themselves. Unlike politicians, when my father makes a promise, he keeps the promise. In less than 4 years, President Trump has rebuilt the United States military, secured our borders, defeated the ISIS caliphate, fostered peace in the Middle East, delivered historic tax and regulatory cuts, fixed our broken trade deals, and brought jobs back to America and back to Florida. Donald Trump has done more for Florida in 47 months than Joe Biden did in 47 years. And he loves you. You all know this, but people fight the hardest for what they love the most. My dad loves you. He loves the people of this country, and he will never stop fighting for you, for your jobs, for your families, and for your futures. Yesterday was a historic day for our nation. America gained our newest member of the Supreme Court, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. As long as my father is president, he will continue to appoint judges who faithfully uphold our liberties enshrined in the Constitution, including the right to bear arms, the right to free speech, and the right to religious liberty. Everything that we hold dear is at stake in this election. The Democrat Party is not the party that it used to be. I'm looking out, and I know that some of you may have been part of it in years past. I hear it all over when I'm out on the road. But this platform that they now support is a plan to transform America into a socialist country. President Trump will never let it happen. If you believe in liberty, democracy, safety, and opportunity, there is only one choice in this election: President Donald J. Trump. Under President Trump, the Republican Party is the party of the American worker, the American family, and the American dream. President Trump built the greatest economy in American history and now is leading the greatest American comeback. In the last 5 months, we have added a historic 11.4 million jobs. Through the Paycheck Protection Program, we helped save 3.2 million jobs right here in Florida. To confront the virus, our president brought together government and the private sector to launch the largest industrial mobilization since World War II. President Trump made sure every governor had the supplies they needed, from military ships to PPE to ventilators. Extraordinary. Not one American who needed a ventilator went without one. Everyone told us that wasn't possible. Thanks to America's medical genius, the mortality rate has declined by 85% since April. 85%, and it's coming down more. The president's early and aggressive action to stop travel from China and Europe saved an estimated 2 million lives. Through Operation Warp Speed, we are on track to deliver a safe and effective vaccine before the end of the year. We have built up supplies, testing, treatment, and we are protecting the vulnerable while healthy Americans safely go back to work and school. As a mother of 3 young children, I know I speak for many parents out there in the audience today when I say that my already extraordinarily profound appreciation for our teachers went through the roof over the last year. So really thank you to our amazing teachers. We're grateful to all of you. Thank you. Joe Biden has said that he would shut down our entire country. But to what end? To what end? Endless lockdowns are not a strategy. President Trump will never surrender to the virus. He will defeat the virus, bring back your jobs, and end this pandemic once and for all. Time and time again, I've seen my father's relentless determination to deliver for you, the American people. One of the issues that was central to his campaign in 2016 was fair and reciprocal trade. But when President Trump got to Washington, many, many politicians, including many Republicans, not the ones with us, but many Republicans, resisted any change. I'll never forget what my father told me after a long trade policy meeting. We were walking back to the residence, and he said, "You know, the reason this has never been done before is because our leaders haven't had the guts. When the economy is good, they settle for good, and when things are bad, they don't have the will or ability, so they kick the can until it's somebody else's problem." He was 100% right. If my father didn't take on these fights for you, the American worker, no one would. In the months that followed, President Trump refused to settle for a good deal. He wanted a great deal. And that is exactly what we got. Yeah. I've noticed Joe Biden recently started to plagiarize the president's Made in America agenda. But the fact that he cannot hide from is that he supported every single disastrous trade deal that shipped our factories and good-paying American jobs overseas. Job-killing NAFTA, TTP, WTO, and allowing China to enter the World Trade Organization. When Joe Biden was vice president, America lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. In President Trump's first 3.5 years, America gained 500,000 great-paying manufacturing jobs. Remember the magic wand? You're right. Where's that magic wand? He's got it. As my father likes to say, Joe Biden should not be demanding the support of America's workers. He should be begging for their forgiveness. President Trump is advancing the American values of work and family. Alongside my father, we secured the largest ever increase for child care funding, giving more than 800,000 low-income families great child care at a cost that they can afford. As part of Republican tax cuts, in 2019 alone, our child tax credit put over $2,000 into the pockets of 40 million American families. President Trump believes that the greatest investment we can make in our nation's children and their futures. Democrat politicians recently introduced their plan to increase the child tax credit as a solution to many of these problems. Yet when I was fighting at the president's request less than 3 years ago to get Congress to double the tax credit, not a single Democrat voted to pass the law. We got it done anyway. Now, Joe Biden has pledged to raise taxes on working families by $4 trillion. We won't let it happen. We can't let it happen. In President Trump's second term, he will cut taxes again, and he will create 10 million new jobs in 10 months. 2021, going to be our best year ever. President Trump has created the most inclusive economy in American history, one that permits people to rise again. During President Trump's first 3 years in office, 72% of all new jobs secured were secured by people outside of the workforce, completely on the sidelines. They had been marginalized. They weren't even looking for work. Wages were rising. Employers were getting creative about how they hired and the skills that they equipped their workers with. People were getting opportunities. The blue-collar boom. Through our pledge to America's workers, we called on the private sector to hire and train 16 million Americans for the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. In a second term, we will provide vocational education to every high school in America and school choice to every parent across our country. School choice. Thank you. I feel the love. You guys are amazing. Thank you. The president feels the love as well. I was just talking to him. He's on Air Force One right now, and he said, Florida, get out and vote. He said, tell them they've got to vote, tell them they've got to vote, and tell them I love them. So thank you all. School choice benefits over 400,000 Florida students, including more than 200,000 students who attend charter schools. 200,000. Joe Biden opposes school choice, and he has pledged to, and I quote, close down charter schools. They will be, quote, gone. President Trump wants to give every child the very best, the best chance to pursue their dreams, find their purpose, and change the world. While Democrats are focused on making Americans dependent on Washington, we are focused on liberating each individual and freeing them to thrive. To revitalize neglected communities, we created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones, including over 400 right here in Florida. It was President Trump that rectified the disparities of the 1994 Biden crime bill that disproportionately hurt African American communities. Alice, isn't she amazing? She is so incredible. She has been such a champion. Against all odds, President Trump signed into law the most comprehensive, most significant criminal justice reform of a generation. Really important. So great. Many of the issues my father has championed are not historically Republican priorities. But where Washington chooses sides, our president chooses common sense. Where politicians choose party, our president chooses people. Since the day he took the oath of office, I've watched my father take on the failed policies of the past and do what no leader before him has been able to do. Joe Biden, as one example, has been one of the biggest champions of Big Pharma, allowing them to rip off millions of American patients. You know, he's beholden to a lot of people. But my father, our president, is beholden to no one. No one but you, the American people. It was President Trump who took action to dramatically cut the cost of prescription drugs, despite, maybe because he fielded angry calls from the CEOs of virtually every major pharmaceutical company. Now, when we watch TV and we see an attack ad paid for by Big Pharma, my father will look at me and smile and say, you know, we've got to be doing something really right since they're hitting us so hard. It's so true. He takes a lot of incoming, folks, a lot of incoming. But it's because he's disrupting the status quo, draining the swamp. President Trump always puts Americans first, and we'll always protect Social Security, Medicare, and patients with pre-existing condition. Our president has also achieved the unthinkable, energy independence. The United States is now a net exporter of oil and natural gas, and we are no longer dependent on foreign nations for our energy needs. So important. While growing American jobs, he's also preserving America's lands. In August, and you probably didn't read about this in your favorite newspaper or see it on TV, but in August, our president signed into law the most sweeping conservation legislation since Theodore Roosevelt created our national park system, the Great American Outdoors Act. America First environmental policy. My father is not afraid of questioning old conventions and finding bold solutions to care for hardworking Americans. One example I'm particularly proud of was at the outset of the pandemic, our president saw that American crops were going to waste while lines at food banks stretched around the block. We saw that right here in Florida. He called, thank you. He called and directed me to find a way to get this nutritious food, fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy, from our American family farms to American families most in need. Within a matter of days, we launched the wildly successful Farmers to Family Food Box program and have delivered over 100 million meals into the hands of Americans. To protect the most vulnerable among us, I've had the incredible honor of working alongside our president as he signed into law 9 pieces of legislation to combat the evil of human trafficking and online child exploitation in the United States. This is an issue politicians weren't even talking about before the president took office. A few months ago, not far from here, right in Tampa, law enforcement arrested 6 human traffickers and freed 5 women from modern slavery. We are deeply, deeply honored to be joined by 2 of these amazing officers who helped in the case. Hillsborough County Deputy Sheriff Donna Lazinski and Major Jeff Harris. Where are you? Please stand. Thank you. You deserve that applause and then some. We will always, always support law enforcement. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. To change the paradigm in the Middle East, President Trump took a fresh approach. I was in his office and I heard foreign leaders, so many of them, they'd call and they'd beg him not to fulfill his promise of moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. He didn't do this for any reason other than it was the right thing to do. And he fulfilled a promise unfulfilled by so many past presidents because he keeps his word. Defying all expectations, just last week he brokered a peace deal with Sudan and Israel, the third of such agreements between Israel and an Arab nation in less than 3 months. President Trump is advancing peace through strength. He is ending the endless foreign wars. He is bringing home our sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines. 2,000 of our great soldiers came home last month, and they're all coming back. The legendary Winston Churchill once said, "It was the nation that had the lion's heart. I had the luck to give it the roar." This reminds me so much of our president and this movement. He has truly given us the roar. Here in America, at this critical hour, we, the people, choose President Donald J. Trump. It's beautiful. USA. My father is so unapologetic about his beliefs that he's caused me and countless Americans to take a hard look at our own convictions and ask ourselves, what do we stand for? What kind of America do we want to leave for our children? I am more certain than ever before we want a future where our kids can believe in American greatness. We want a society where every child can live in a safe community and go to a school of their choice. We want a culture where differences of opinion and debate, respectful debate, are encouraged, not canceled. Where law enforcement is respected, where our country's rich diversity is celebrated, and where people of all backgrounds, races, genders, and creeds have the chance to achieve their God-given potential. This is the future my father is fighting so hard every day to build. Washington has not changed Donald Trump, folks. Donald Trump, he's changed Washington. Thank goodness. America does not need another empty vessel who will do whatever the media and the fringe of his party demands. Now more than ever, America needs 4 more years of a warrior in the White House. My father fights so hard every single day for each one of us, and now we have a chance to fight for him and fight for the future of this country. With your help, your voice, and your vote on November 3rd, we will win another historic victory, and together we will make America greater than ever before. Thank you, Sarasota, and God bless you. God bless America.